have no idea what's going on with Richard.
He seems different.
Last year, he would never touch a drink. This year, Richard is socially drinking with us.
This is fucked, okay? These are garbage.
Right now, I'm so sick of French food.
Hey guys, watch the rims, all right?
Fat, and more fat.
Richard does what Richard wants when Richard wants to do it.
I'm just not interested in this type of cookery.
Let's be very honest. You're making this food for the instructors.
As selfish as it may seem, I do everything for myself.
I think if he keeps on in the kitchen, it will destroy him.
This is your time to shine. You're gonna be just fine. It's your time, and I look how far you come. Open your eyes. This is your time tonight. It turned out all right. You don't have to fight, and I look how far you come. Open your eyes. Look how far you come. Open your eyes.
Previously on Chef School.
It's crazy to go to this school.
This year, it's really more about actually surviving it.
God damn you guys.
The hardest part is dealing with everybody.
I think second year of the curriculum can be quite challenging.
I'll have to admit that there was a few times that I played with the idea of not coming back.
He's commuting from London to Stratford twice a day.
This year, I'm choosing to stay at home, be closer to my family.
I'm really worried about how he's gonna get everything done.
If I had to choose between Chef School and my kids, without a doubt, 100%, my children.
Good to see you. What do we got? Let's take a look. We've got
a ton of tomatoes, celeriac, leeks, pasta, bok choy.
This year, I think our group is a lot more close-knit now.
oysters for an aphrodisiac start to the evening.
That's not true. I proved that wrong last year.
And we're a lot more supportive of each other.
I'm always horny.
And polite and respectful.
You don't need oysters to have a good time. That's all.
Awesome.
My mom has been ill for the last little while. Well, over the summer she finished her chemo and was doing really well. I went to visit them a couple nights ago and she looked fine, just normal. And I came back to Avery House thinking everything was fine.
Whatever. There we go.
But this morning, my sister knocks on my bedroom door and she's like, Mom's in the hospital.
It's got to be very difficult for Joyce, but I know that it's cancer and that it's metastasized.
They had to call an ambulance. Because she just had such a headache that she couldn't even get out of bed.
These things are brilliant if you take several different types of citrus, some white wine and some olive oil.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic, man.
You really want to eat this, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I love oysters.
Well, I think hopefully Joyce has realized that even though the school's an important place and it could be one of those important things she ever does, that it's not the be-all and end-all, and it's not something that's not going to be here tomorrow.
I hope she's at home now, because frankly, they weren't really doing much for her there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's good, eh? Fucking
That's absolutely great, Ben.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's a very difficult situation.
That's yummy.
No good. That's the best we can hope for.
Right now, I just really want my mom and me and my whole family to just have complete faith that she's going to get better.
Before we start, can I get serious for a minute? Can I get personal for a minute? That's okay? I know that, you're back for your second year and you're going through some tough things again. And I wanted to let you know that I'm there for you.
We're all there for you.
And don't cry. It's not a crying moment. Right?
Speak for yourself.
No matter how moronic some of us act sometimes, we're gonna do our best to help each other through it.
Thank you.
Yeah?
We love you, Joycey.
Here's to toast.
Here's to toast.
It's Richard's lab tonight.
I ran into Richard over the summer, and he was telling me how fast he's progressing and how wonderful he is in the kitchen and how he could do anything. He felt like Superman.
I'm going into my lab for me. It's a big night for myself. as selfish as it may seem, I do everything for myself.
I wonder if he's going to get a nasty surprise.
I mean, he has a huge ego, which I am not a fan of.
He's got a lot going on. I mean, you know, to say nothing of his recovery issues.
You know, between school and parenting and commuting. Like, he's basically a single dad to his 2 kids right now.
Richard's problem, Richard's addiction, was with crack cocaine. Alcohol was never as much of a problem for him, so he and his wife decided over the summer that they could enjoy a bottle of wine every once in a while.
Last year, he would never touch a drink. This year, Richard is socially drinking with us.
As far as the whole recovery issue goes, I don't believe it to be an issue anymore.
He says he's okay. But I don't think that's true. There's something in Richard's eyes when he drinks. There's something you see there that it's pretty dark.
My worry here is that alcohol lowers inhibitions, and with all the stress of school, it's very easy to fall back to old habits to make poor decisions.
I'm going into my lab today with a first meeting with Jim.
He didn't show up for his meeting with Jim this morning to discuss his lab package. I don't even know if his lab package was in on time.
I was not in the least bit interested.
I've seen him, but so far he's offered no explanation.
You could receive terrific marks from the execution of the lab, but if you fail the lab package portion of it, you fail second year.
Going into this lab, we all know Richard's got a lot on his plate right now.
I don't want him to look choppy.
And we all worry that Richard's problems could definitely get worse, that they might only be just starting.
I just don't want him, you know, looking like a 5-year-old did him. What are you saying?
I'll have to admit, I doubted coming back for second year because I was getting impatient. Right now, I'm so sick of French food.
Unfortunately for Richard, it's going to make it very hard to put out good food when you're not exactly thrilled about what it is you're making.
I don't have any interest or ambition to recreate French food.
So let's look at the creme brulee then, okay? This creme caramel. Creme caramel then. This is not good. This is fucked, okay? The custard has curdled.
Yeah. What happened with the creme caramel, it was just ignorance.
If you run your finger over the surface, it should seem smooth and creamy.
I made them last night, and I was worried because at first the custard seemed really, really thin.
Ben had never done a creme caramel before. I never done a creme caramel.
And I was told to just go ahead and cook it anyway.
I should have maybe done a little research on stuff, but I decided, fuck it.
I think he's fucked.
When you come into a lab, always check.
And I think we're all fucked because he's fucked.
And when you're checking something like this, just don't check one, check a number.
To tell you the truth, I'm just not interested in this type of cookery.
I can redo them. They're not.
You can redo them? You don't have an option of I can redo them or should I redo them?
Right.
You have to redo them because these are garbage.
Right.
You know, I don't know what I see in Richard.
A little concerned that people aren't really thinking about what they're doing.
I think that he has the potential.
He thinks he knows everything.
He seems to be very interested in cooking.
I fucking believe it.
He doesn't like to take instruction from people.
He has the looks.
He doesn't like to work with other people either.
He could be successful.
I'm not a people person.
But whether he is or not really depends on whether he applies himself.
Like Richard does what Richard wants when Richard wants to do it.
Richard, the sauce is too watery. If you look at that there, the sauce is nowhere near being close to completion.
For myself, I figured out I don't want to be a chef as far as, you know, being the next Thomas Keller or, you know, being the next, you know, whoever.
When you are a chef, you should know at any moment what is going on.
The biggest thing a head chef needs to be able to do during the restaurant labs is recognize when things are going wrong.
You have to know who's doing what, who's sleeping with who.
Or things are not correct.
It's called the rhythm of a kitchen.
I'm a creative person. And that's not what I want out of a career.
Before any service begins, I get nervous because I'm always thinking of what could go wrong as opposed to what is going to go right.
I just want to make great food for myself.
Okay, ice on this one, guys, please.
Richard should be really thankful if Ben manages to pull these creme caramels off.
Still jiggling a little bit. Hopefully they'll cool in time.
So at this point, it's 6:30. I tend to get a little nervous if the dessert, which should have been done 6 hours ago, is not done.
The caramels need to be in the fridge for quite a long time after they come out of the oven to chill, so they might not be set.
This is enough to make someone religious.
If they're not set, I don't have a dessert for the guests.
Because if you have faith that it turns out, then you owe somebody something.
Everybody's stressed out. It's pre-service. Everybody's all running around like maniacs.
I just want everything out of the fucking way, you know?
I have no idea what's going on with Richard.
He seems different. There's something going on with him.
I mean, Richard knows that he has a gift.
He's good at cooking. He has a natural ability for it. Probably because he's got so much anger and frustration inside him. You know, that translates well into food passion.
He is a great cook. You can't deny that.
I just hope he knows that if there is something going on, that he can come to any of us and be okay.
I just wish everybody would just chill the fuck out.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our student chef for the night, Richard Francis.
First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for attending this evening. The message that I want people to take away from my speech is that food is very much about family as well. Over the weekend, my wife and I hosted a dinner for a few of our close friends, which gave me the opportunity to cook the meal that you're about to be served tonight. The feedback was excellent, and I hope you will enjoy it much as we did. It was BS, but they didn't know that it wasn't true. There's something about cooking these fall dinners, which seem to take all afternoon, that allow me to do what I love to do. No, we didn't do it. And that's to cook for my family. I needed another minute or 30 seconds more in my speech. And bon appetit. We usually do have dinners. We usually sit with family and friends, but just not that weekend that I was speaking about.
I think it's very important that the student retains ownership of the lab.
Chef Baxter, he doesn't want to hold your hand. He doesn't want to walk you through it.
Okay, it's your call, but what I would suggest is you
He wants you to do it.
just make sure it goes on the tongue.
What I get from Neil is that he wants you to somehow, you know, make this your own thing.
It's not my food, it's not my cooking, it's the student's food.
For the guest, it's supposed to be a journey that the student takes you on.
I eat chicken livers at home. Tongue isn't actually such a big stretch.
It's supposed to be a tasting experience.
Right now, we're seeing a lot more offal. I always want to say offal. Offal, O-F-F-A-L. It is the nasty bits.
To get people to eat offal, I think you've got to present it in beautiful ways like this. This isn't scary at all.
I would suggest you just sort of make this fennel and artichoke just more substantial.
Usually with Chef Baxter, the portions are a lot bigger.
This is totally what gets the taste buds. Ah, gets your appetite going.
Because he does not like the whole nouveau cuisine, tiny, tiny portion approach to things.
Here we have a mound that's ready for you to dive your fork into, whereas the other was very delicate.
I'm doing a Confit of Duck, and that's the one thing I'm most concerned about.
The duck's like cooked beautifully. Like the skin is crispy and it's like nice and evenly cooked throughout.
Everything that you wanted out of a Confit of Duck was in that.
Nice and crisp.
This is so good.
We got two.
Fat, and more fat. It's just not what I'm about.
I've worked with so many culinary students just out of school. They think they have to reinvent the wheel every 5 minutes.
You know, like I want healthy stuff. I want to promote that.
When really, the most inventive dishes we've seen in the last 10 years have been like Thomas Keller, but he's reinventing the presentation and sticking to the tried and true basics.
Hey guys, watch the rims, all right?
Let's be very honest. You're making this food for the instructors and for you to learn something about making that food. Let's be honest.
Oh, good. So now we get to take out a little dressing on the custard. And look, getting things to work is all a matter of dominance, see?
I think, you know, sometimes I feel that I may belong in a different kind of kitchen.
Shit. Right. Can we get clean up over here?
Need more bowls.
I don't know how this is going to go with Richard this year. He's going to do it his own way. He's going to take his own path.
That's perfect. If you tap your plate, it's just got that nice little jiggle. It's got a little dancer shake to it.
I mean, it really is difficult if somebody is a very good cook, but yet, you know, it's just not easy to have around. I mean, basically just doesn't fit into this organization.
The food was perfect. It was seasonal and gorgeous, but we can't just cook and be great at it.
It isn't necessarily important that Richard knows how to do everything perfectly, but he has to be able to sort of be quality assurance.
You have to be able to understand it and where it's coming from.
The perfect end. It's like a little cloud.
Probably Ben's the hero tonight.
The value of the school is that you're not making a creme caramel to say you can make it.
So, Richard, this was your first lab. How do you think it went for you?
The lab mark depends entirely on how prepared you are. So if you haven't done your research,
Overall, I thought it could have went a little better.
then your mark's going to be lower too, right?
Always try to know what is coming around the corner.
Yeah.
Sort of make sure that you're more organized. So, Richard, for today, I'm going to give you a mark of 75%.
A 75% is, you know, it's not great.
I've acknowledged that I'm a very creative person.
And there might be a part of Richard that's sort of angry at getting a 75, that doesn't feel he deserves that.
And so that creative part of me that seeks out creativeness, not acceptance.
I think for Richard, it's a choice between normality and his family and being a cook.
You missed our appointment on Monday morning.
I don't know. I sent you an email, and
He's like an artist. He doesn't cook for people. He creates because he has this dark passion.
When you didn't arrive, I just went through this and marked it.
But I think if he keeps on in the kitchen, it will destroy him.
I have invited Nora Jean along this morning as well, because I think it would be good if she would just work with you on a one-on-one basis.
The lab package, we feel, is very, very important.
So that you get certain concepts a little more clearly.
If you fail menu theory, you don't get your Stratford Chef School diploma. It's that important.
So let's just start with this menu analysis, Richard. It's a menu with a certain pedigree in terms of, you know, sort of where the recipes are coming from. So when salads appeared in classical menus, what were they called? Which course did they come into?
Actually, this kind of training is critical. Because if you stripped that away, we would be training line cooks, not chefs.
Usually they were served as accompaniments to the main course, and they were called...
It's crucial to know the theory.
Side dishes,
Side dishes,
or...
yeah.
Yes, but what's the French word for it?
Because if you don't, what's the point in going to school? Like, you're here to learn, right?
Entremet.
Right.
Yeah?
So sitting there, like, honestly, sometimes I'm like a 5-year-old kid. Like, if something does not interest me, I'm off somewhere else.
Remember, the entremets fall into two sections, either savory or sweet.
Something happens, it's just, I hear the voice, but it's like something
This restaurant is a place...
doesn't recognize what the words are saying, so it's just not registering at all.
Evening. So then that leads us to the style of restaurant. So why do you think I would have trouble with this statement of yours, that the menu belongs in a simple bistro establishment?
I don't feel completely here. I'm not 100% here.
The cookery is just too involved and too refined for something that one might find in a simple bistro. The other thing that is really, really important is that you don't miss whole sections of this. For example, you passed up a really easy 20 marks in the delivery section by not doing the organizational chart. So just make sure that you submit something in each category.
At this point, Richard, if you don't do anything to change it, you basically are failing.
Of course, if you revise these things, I will remark the package as well, all in the hope that your second lab package will be of a higher standard than this one. Okay?
Next time on Chef School.
It's Andrew's lab today.
It's a big day, so I figured if any day deserved a bubble bath, today was the one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andrew Corstein.
Salve! Buonasera!
I know that he's probably terrified of this.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't burn the crust there, Dave.
Last night, Alex made the pasta dough.
These are way too wet.
And we can't use it.
These are garbage.
I'm disappointed in Alex's work.
I asked repeatedly, is this dough good? Is this dough good?
I don't think I've ever seen Alex say, it's my fault, I was wrong.
The thing is, I honestly wouldn't fucking hire him.
There's been a